This video is about the process of spousal sponsorship. Hello everyone, I'm Ishani.
And I'm Lavkesh.
We would like to welcome you all to our channel, A Canadian Dream. If you dream to come to Canada through various immigration programs, then stay tuned. Subscribe to our channel and be part of our fam. In this video, I'm going to talk about the process of spousal sponsorship. What is spousal sponsorship? It's an immigration category which allows Canadian citizens and permanent residents to sponsor their spouse and dependent children to come to Canada as permanent residents. Primary applicant and the sponsor. These are the most common terms you will come across while working on your application. So you must know the difference at the very beginning. The person who is sponsoring the spouse to come to Canada is the sponsor, and the spouse who is being sponsored to come to Canada is the primary applicant. There are two different categories of spousal sponsorship. First is inland sponsorship, and another one is outland sponsorship. So what is the difference between the two? The difference comes from the fact where the primary applicant will reside during the application process. For inland sponsorship, primary applicant must live with the sponsor in Canada. For outland sponsorship, primary applicant resides outside of Canada while the application is getting processed. There is a condition here. If the sponsor is a PR, the sponsor must reside in Canada while the application is being processed. The person can be away on a vacation or some other work for a short period of time. If the sponsor is a Canadian citizen, sponsor can stay in or out of Canada while the application is getting processed, but must show an intent to come to Canada once the spouse gets the PR. Are you eligible to sponsor your spouse to Canada? As a sponsor, you should meet the below requirements. First is, you should be at least 18 years old. Your status should be of a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. And if you are a Canadian citizen living outside of Canada, you must show that you plan to live in Canada when your sponsored relative becomes a permanent resident. Next, you should be able to take care of the basic needs of any person you sponsor. Lastly, you must not seek government help for any reason other than illness. Next is the income requirement. There is no minimum income requirement to sponsor your spouse to Canada. Based on my experience, it makes your application stronger if you can prove that you are in a good financial position by holding a job offer and having some bank balance. If you don't hold a job offer, you would need to attach a letter with your application on how you plan to support yourself and your spouse once your spouse moves to Canada. So there is no minimum income requirement to sponsor your spouse. However, you do have liabilities as a sponsor. As a sponsor, you sign an undertaking where you agree to provide financial support for the basic needs of your spouse. The duration of the undertaking is 3 years from the day your spouse becomes a permanent resident. Basic needs include food, clothing, shelter, and other needs for everyday living, dental care, eye care, and other health needs that are not covered by public health services. Next is the processing time. It is the estimated amount of time to process your application. This time interval varies a lot based on many factors. As per CIC's official website, the current processing time for both inland and outland sponsorship application is 12 months. Personally, it took me only 2.5 months to get the sponsorship from my spouse from the day of filing the application. In the upcoming videos, I will discuss in more details on what you can do from your end for faster processing of your application. So stay tuned and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any updates. Now let us talk about the application fee for spousal sponsorship. Currently, it stands at 1,050 Canadian dollars for spouse and 150 for each child you sponsor. The file type. Spousal sponsorship application is paper-based, which means the application is to be sent to CIC in the form of a documented file. All the required documents are to be put in a file and sealed. Once the file is ready, you need to post it to the case processing center Once the file is received and opened by a visa officer, processing will start for your application. I will discuss the process in more detail in the upcoming videos, so stay tuned guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now.